Hello and welcome to the Delphian Podcast.
Delphian is an artist-led nomadic gallery focusing on emerging and early career artists.
Each episode will feature a different art world practitioner, from artists and gallerists to collectors and curators.
If you like today's episode, please like, share and subscribe. Hello and welcome to the Delphian Podcast. I am Benjamin Murphy as always, and as always with me is Nick J. Thompson.
Right.
Hello.
Hello. Our guest today is Miranda Forrester. She creates multi-layered paintings that are often site-specific and that interact with the gallery in which they are presented. Her recent shows include the BBZ Alternative Graduate Show at Copeland Gallery and is currently taking part in Ollie Epps' Plop Residency.
Hi.
Hello. hello. Big question to start with, one that we ask most people: why are you an artist?
Why am I an artist? I think I've always drawn, painted, made work. I didn't necessarily always know I was going to be an artist. I think I just enjoyed it, and that was something I would do. I thought I'd do something creative, but maybe not an artist. I think I was worried about how I would sustain myself. I didn't know anyone that was an artist. I didn't really know how to go down that route.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I need to make work, and it's kind of, I think my work is important, and I think developing on that is like what drives me.
So you went to art school?
Yeah, I went to Brighton.
So you went to art school. At what point on the trajectory from going from school to college, maybe art school, did you think, I want to be an artist like full time? And then at what point did you think this is possible?
I think when I was in first year in Brighton, I don't know, I kind of deliberated a lot about going to art school because, my family were like, you can just get a studio and paint. Why do you need to go to, spend all this money to go to art school? I was kind of finding it hard to justify it because I didn't really know why I needed to go, but I felt that I did. And the idea of getting a studio and all of that seemed so foreign. I didn't know how I would make that work. So I was kind of thinking, maybe I'll work in a gallery or work with like kids or on like a young people's program or something. And then, which I still like the idea of, but when I started, I kind of realised that this is what I want to do. And then probably like towards the end of my degree, I started thinking this will be possible because seeing people who'd left the year before me, go on and do well and things were happening for them. So I kind of thought if they can do it, I can do it. So
why can't I?
Yeah.
So looking back, did you find art school useful? Would you change that? Would you still have gone, or do you think it was valuable?
Yeah, I would definitely still have gone. I think maybe I didn't realise what I was going to get out of it. I don't know. Like, there's still lots of things that I would definitely have problems with art school, but overall, I'm still glad I went, and I still think I went to the right place. I don't think anywhere else would have been better for me. But it has given me the tools.
Give us one of the problems.
So just diversity, basically, like in the staff and in the teaching, like the visiting lecturers and everything. Like loads of them were great, and I'm not, dissing them, but they were all white, like 80% men. I think we had like one or two artists that were queer. There was never any it was kind of the same type of artist or kind of type of person that was giving you feedback on your work. So generally I was getting the same feedback, and then you don't feel like they necessarily get your work, even though people can appreciate it and say like, oh, it's like a nice nude like painting, and then me trying to explain that it's more than that, and then there's just that kind of barrier there. Whereas like sometimes when I would have a woman artist, not always, but sometimes they would kind of straight away get it. And I think teachers didn't understand how important that is, maybe.
So that issue is kind of indicative of the art world in general, right?
Yeah.
It's not as diverse as it could be. What do you think are the ways that can be combated?
I think by making an active decision to, kind of like positive discrimination. So saying we're going to have X amount of black artists in this show, or queer artists, or whatever, and not, because people always say, oh, you can't do that because it should be the best people. But like, if all the curators are white or like maybe men, maybe they don't see the value in some artists, and it's not necessarily that their work is not as good, it's just that you don't understand it or don't value the type of work they're making. So I think having like clear boundaries or like ideas about a show, like that it has to be diverse, and that you won't have a show where it is not diverse, just making that a priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about the BBZ show.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Where we discovered your work. Well, it's where I discovered your work. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was the first time I'd seen it as well. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, thank you. It was amazing. It was the best thing I could have like ever had straight out of like graduating. Everything about it. I'd done loads of shows at uni. I kind of thrown myself in. I said yes to everything that came up. Applied for loads of things. Was really like keen on getting exhibition experience, and then was spending a lot of money like transporting works, and I never sold anything, and it always felt a bit like dissatisfying at the end. Like I felt like, what have I even really got out of that experience? And it was valuable. Like obviously all exhibition experience is good, but this was so unlike anything I'd done before. You were just like the way we were treated. Like we got paid an artist fee. Like our travel was covered. Like we all had food together every day when we were installing. Mental health was in the like health and safety like checklist when we were doing the installation. All these things that I'd never thought about before, and like just assume that's the way it is. Like I'd always thought, the installation process is always like a few days where I'm like not eating properly, not sleeping properly, like you're just like on these long days, just going out for food randomly in the day and then not eating for like 8 hours, and you're just drained. And it still is a bit like that, but there was like times it was like, right, everyone is sitting down together and we're having lunch now and we've got it in. And I know obviously that's like a privilege to be able to do that because they had funding, but it was just like all that was new to me, so that was great. And then the actual show was amazing, to be with 9 other really great artists and to have that space where like we're prioritised, and our work was like centre stage, and everything we wanted we were allowed to express.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
So at the moment you're on the Plop Residency. How's that going?
Yeah, it's great. It's different to anything I've done before. So there's 5 of us, and we've got a huge room and just kind of given free rein to make anything we want. So yeah, it's nice to interact with other people as well, who
you may not have met before, right?
Or we like may not have crossed paths because our work is different, or yeah.
And how's the being on residency, how's it affected your practice, or has it affected your practice?
Yeah, it's making me work more, I think, like more quickly, and also having to multitask more, whereas usually I'd be a bit more, I don't know, lax. Like I usually only do work on one painting at a time, because I find it hard to get into the headspace of another painting once. Like I need to finish the one I'm doing on and then move on. But when I'm in for like such a specific amount of time, because the way my schedule is at the moment, I'm usually in for like one day, the whole day, whereas usually I'd be in like most days for a few hours. So I'm having to do lots of things at once, which is, it's good. It's making me do things more because I've primed something, and then usually I just leave and then come back the next day when it's dry. Whereas now I'm like, what should I do now? And then I'll do some more drawing or some painting on paper, or it's kind of pushing me in a new way.
Before we were recording, we were talking about the Plop Residency, and I think it might be a nice thing to mention is that Plop Residency was started by Ollie Epp, and he's now in collaboration with Andrea. But he started it originally because he sold a load of prints, and he thought, what am I going to do with this money? So he self-funded some studios for some artists in London, just off his own back. I think it's really nice, a nice way of an artist kind of giving back to the arts community and to early career-wise. I mean, he's still quite young himself, but it's really nice to see the kind of the altruistic nature of it. I think is very nice.
Yeah, it's really inspiring to see, actually. That I think coming into the art world, everyone's like, it's awful. And, like,
everyone's just like, a lot of it is
for themselves, And
it definitely can be like that, but it doesn't have to be like that.
It's nice to see people like actively trying to change that, challenge that.
So a lot of your work's about themes and ideas that you have an intimate understanding of. For example, what it's like to be a queer woman, the female gaze. How autobiographical are your works, and is making works about such personal themes a difficult process?
Yeah, I really struggled with that when I started art school, actually, because I think my work was more personal then maybe than it is now, or like more explicitly personal. And I knew that was the work I wanted to make, and that was the work that was naturally I was interested in making. But then when I had to have tutorials or crits, like I just find it really, really hard talking about it. And at first I was thinking that's just my problem, like I'm not confident enough about my work, or I didn't really have my ideas formulated. And then, whereas actually it's just the people I'm having these discussions with, because it's not everyone that I struggle to talk about it with. And when you're like, a young female artist talking to like a 56-year-old guy about your like sexuality, it's awkward and intense, and I would just be like absolutely mortified the whole time, and I'd just be like, you can look at this painting and I don't want to like have to explain it to you or like talk about it, because I was doing lots of self-portraiture as well. So then I kind of moved away from that, and I was using porn a lot in my work as well.
Did you move away from the self-portraiture because of the awkwardness?
Yeah, I think so, and also because then that was kind of my only source material. Like I only really had myself to draw from, whereas now I have friends and things who'll let me draw them. So yeah. I think it was just finding my community, my kind of and also my confidence is in my work.
And how are you finding the difference between living in Brighton with the community there and the community in London, like artist-wise?
Yeah, it's very different, I think. I think most of the artists in Brighton are, I don't know what's the word, like generally people are older and more commercial.
Okay.
I don't want to be like dissing the artists in Brighton because they are great. Not all of them. I just mean the ones that I'm around. I love the artist community there, but I don't think it's my community. It's not where I think I will be forever. And I found my space. I think I have that more in London. But yeah.
Kind of going back to something you mentioned before when you were talking about art school and whatever. When you're making your works, what are you trying to say to the viewer? And do you have that in mind when you're making the works? But also, do you have in your mind that these works are going to be seen and evaluated by people who haven't had that kind of experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm mainly making them for people who have had that kind of experience, because I want people to be able to see themselves in art, which you just don't. Like I've never really walked into a gallery and seen a painting that I think like I can relate to in that sense. So yeah, I don't know. It's nice that other people like my work, but I'm not really thinking about that when I'm making my work. And I want it to be explicitly clear. I want them explicitly queer, like women and sexuality and everything. I want that to be clear, so people know what it is, and there's no ambiguity, which I think a lot of artists previously have kind of done. Maybe if they didn't want to, I don't know, label themselves or anything, there's just been this kind of ambiguous, like, oh, maybe there's a relationship there, maybe there's not, and of course that's like up to them, and but I think that's not necessarily.
So you're being explicit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I want it to be.
Yeah.
Explicit.
So say, obviously, you make this work to say a certain thing. Are you making these works for yourself, or are you making them for the viewer? I mean, are you trying to convey a message, or are you trying to record an emotion?
Yeah, more record an emotion.
Right.
And yeah, I think like for my younger self, I think I'm always making them for, because I think as well, like with they're usually in domestic settings, in like homes and in kind of like warm environments, and I think that's something that that kind of like simple domesticity in a queer relationship is something you just don't see when you're younger, and is really important, even though that's just like normal every day. People think, I don't know, especially when you're younger, like I didn't ever think that I could get married or have kids and have that like kind of like traditional normal life. So be able to see that, I think, is important.
So for people who may not have seen your work, can you explain a little bit about the interplay between your paintings and the gallery wall that they interact with? And what's this device used for?
So I paint on canvas sometimes and sometimes on PVC, which I stretch over a wooden stretcher in the same way I stretch a canvas. And when I work on that material on a larger scale, I hang them kind of slightly away from the wall, and then we'll paint on the wall behind. So there's that kind of interplay of layers and colours, and it's mainly about being able to see physically, like see through the skin and the flesh, and it becomes like physically more than just what you're seeing on display, or like more than the like exterior kind of shell. Yeah, and then also it being more of a kind of experience. You can walk around it. It looks different in the light. I've tried having those paintings on different backgrounds, like a black background, a white background, completely changes the image. So I think also that freedom for me in being able to take that painting down, take it to a new show, paint the wall a different colour or a different shape behind, and it looks completely different.
What happens when someone buys one and say they wanted... Would you go and install it with the painting behind?
Yeah.
And what if they wanted to hang it on a green wall? Or a beige wall or a purple wall?
Yeah, a green wall would be very offensive, I think.
What would you do in that case?
I don't know. I mean, if someone's going to buy it, then pay for it. They can do what they want. But, yeah, I'm quite kind of strict on my colours. I like neutral colours for backgrounds, kind of creamy, beigey colours, and something that complements. I've like played around a lot with background colours when I was first doing that. So running up and down like with my paintings, putting them on top of different paintings to try and like see what would look nice, and it basically doesn't look nice on anything that's not kind of the same creamy neutral colours.
It's probably the case for a lot of paintings.
Yeah.
Actually, the show we saw last night, there was some really brightly coloured paintings on, I guess, like a beach panelled wall. For some of them, it really worked, but then some of them, it just looked quite odd.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the approach that they were going for. I don't know, but yeah. So let's dive in with a big question again. Is there something you've done in your career so far that, in retrospect, you wish you never did?
Ooh.
As an example,
Yes,
I asked this to someone else, and he just said, "Yeah, a lot of my early work." I was Richie, actually. Richie Colbo, we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. I bended my morals, I think. This show came up. This is also before what I was just saying yes to everything, and I felt like I couldn't turn anything down because I'd be missing opportunity, and that was just, a bad idea. These people contacted me saying they loved my paintings and they wanted me to paint a male nude for their show about male nudes and how no one really paints them. And at first, like, I sent it to my friends like as a joke, like, can you believe these people are like emailed me saying wanted me to paint, like, it was, penis was in the title, that they wanted you to paint like penis. Yeah. So I was joking about it initially and was like, oh, there's no way I'm doing this. And then I was like, oh, well, I shouldn't miss an opportunity. So I came back to them and said, like, do you want me to, a new painting? Do you want me to produce a new painting for this show? And they said yes. So then, and I was really busy, it was like in the middle of degree show time, so I was just like banged out this painting that I hated, and the whole exhibition process was stressful, and I didn't like it. I didn't want anyone to know that I've been in this exhibition. I thought my friends were going to like judge me.
And then now you're telling people about it.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I didn't put it on my website. The show was actually great. All the other artists were great, and obviously that's what they do all the time, but I just think it was weird that they asked me to do it and I shouldn't have.
Did you learn any valuable lessons aside from don't say yes to everything? Did you learn any valuable lessons from doing that?
I think I learned that I definitely don't enjoy that, or like because I didn't really know where to start, because I paint all my usual paintings from life, and I was like, oh, how am I going to like get one of my friends to like draw them naked? And I just felt uncomfortable about that. So I was like Googling images of like naked men to try and draw, and it just I didn't enjoy the process of painting. I didn't know what I was doing. I felt like I needed to do something that was different, and it was everything about it was different to my usual process. So
I think I tend to say no to commissions just because I find that if it's a commission, I'm just not loving it, and whenever I'm doing something and I'm not loving it, then it's just never going to be my best work. It's always garbage, and then I always regret doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably simple. Although having said that, I have done a few commissions this year, and I've actually really enjoyed it.
How did you overcome the like saying yes to everything? How have you like battled against that?
I think that show was the turning point.
Was it?
Yeah.
So it might have been worth doing then.
Yeah.
Just for bringing that realization.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that was the kind of point. I just thought I haven't actually gained. Well, maybe I have now, but at the time I thought I haven't gained anything from this experience, and I've just wasted time and money, and I'm busy anyway. So yeah, and then also doing the Babe show as well, because I didn't realise until then how good it could be to do a show where people really value you. And I think before I'd just been thrown in sometimes as like a token. So yeah, that was kind of that time.
That was an open call, right?
Yeah, it was an open call.
How much of your work do you plan beforehand? Do you work from sketches, or do you just go wild on there? Oh, right.
Yeah, I work from sketches. So I'll do my drawings from life, and then so usually the drawing will just be like the outline of the figure, and then maybe some background objects if I'm including them, and then I'll project those up if I'm doing a big painting, and then kind of paint that outline in, and then the rest I will just kind of make up.
Freestyle.
Yeah.
So do you ever exhibit these sketches?
No.
Do they feel too personal, or?
No, not that they feel too personal. I should really. Sometimes I like them more than the painting.
If I ever do a larger piece from a sketch, I always prefer the sketch.
Do you?
Yeah, and I think why have I wasted all my time doing this massive thing when I've said exactly what I wanted to say within the sketch?
Yeah, I should probably do that.
What do you do if you're struggling for inspiration? Have you got any techniques to overcome it?
I just draw what's around me. Like I draw like really boring, banal things that I don't, my water bottle or something, just to kind of do something. And then I'll just go to exhibitions really, and then draw from that. Sometimes I go around places that I wouldn't usually, not like, but like I go around the National Gallery when usually that's not like my, main source of inspiration, like those kind of paintings, but just go there, sit in front of something, and then draw some paintings, and then I'll just take small bits from big paintings.
I find I get more from seeing shows and art that I don't like than I do from
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's learning what you don't want to do. It's easier to learn than to identify things that you do, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would be one piece of advice you'd give to a young artist who's just starting out?
Or a few pieces of advice.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be one.
I think I'd say to kind of stick with just kind of be true to your ideas, and kind of, I don't know, it sounds like really cringy to say like believe in yourself, but I think sometimes I definitely did doubt what I was making a lot during my degree, because people would say like, aren't you just like reinforcing this idea of sexualizing women by painting women naked? Like, why do you need to do that? And also, like, why is it different for me to paint women naked in a kind of sexualized way? Like, I can't just assume that it's different because I'm a woman, whereas if I was a man. And sometimes I obviously question that myself. And
what was your response to that question when you were asked it?
I don't know. Like, it's always been my main thing that I'm attracted to. Like, even any show, like, I just love painting nudes. Like, it's the only thing I've ever painted, really. Or I used to do portraits, but then like it's still like the figure or like people. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to sort of, especially when you don't really know fully what you're doing or why you're making your work. It's hard to be like, this is what I'm doing, and I'm not gonna go and paint something else because you think it would be better. But I think a little bit of that as well. I don't know. Yeah, do some shows, but then don't say yes to everything. Think about like how much money it's going to cost you, how much time it's going to take. Is it going to be worth it? Do your research before you do a show. Just walk in.
So if you had unlimited money and time and space, what would your dream project be?
It's another big question that we ask a lot.
Yeah.
I think I just get a big show together with all my favourite artists and friends and do something kind of similar to the Babe show, but again, just platforming like young black queer artists, not even young, any black queer artists.
Great.
That's great.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.